Reactions yesterday after Ngunjiri Wambugu, the Nyeri Town MP, filed that petition before the Judicial Service Commission seeking the removal from office of Chief Justice David Maraga. That makes a main point of discussion this morning in studio. We're privileged to have Dr. Kabare Karanja, a political analyst. Karibu sana. We also do have Didmas Barasa, MP Kimilili. Karibu sana Mheshimiwa. Professor George Wajakoya, political analyst, and Ken Ambani, also political analyst. Good morning, gentlemen, and karibu sana. Of course, the quick question that comes now that Jubilee has already disowned this petition, saying it is not a Jubilee petition, it is an individual member of the National Assembly who's who's taken it upon himself to do this. NASA has already condemned this filing of petition, but they read that, of course, this MP who has filed is simply a representative of the Jubilee Party. Question is, and that's where we start, Bwana Kabare Karanja, do you believe that Bwana Ngunjiri Wambugu is just doing this as an individual, probably out of enthusiasm? He is a first-time member of Parliament, you know, and you could get excited. Or do you read a well-planned out strategy to actually execute this assault on the judiciary?
Very well, thank you, Fred. I think, I do not think that action by the MP was well thought out. I don't see strategy. I don't see what is to be achieved from it, especially from the Jubilee side. Number one, I think whenever you find yourself inside the pit, the first thing you should stop is digging, worsening an already bad situation. I think it was reactionary, and if he was trying to play to the gallery around the president's support base, I think it has flopped. It was not well thought out. I don't see what is to be gained. So you don't see at all as if he was just representing the views of the larger Jubilee Party? Personally, I don't think he was representing the Jubilee Party. And again, from the views expressed by the leadership around the Jubilee leadership, I listened to Tuju clearly, and Tuju brought it out. This is Ngunjiri's idea, which I think was not very wise. Yes. Bwana Didmas Barasa, of course you're a first-time member of Parliament. Bwana Ngunjiri Wambugu is also a first-time member of the National Assembly. There is some excitement when you're a new member, yeah? And of course you want to claim your space within the National Assembly. You want to be seen to be representing your party's views. You want to be seen to be fighting for your party leader as well. Do you think this is what is happening with your colleague?
I think with all the fairness, first is that I think Wambugu's petition is ill-advised, but I praise him for one thing, that he seemed to have a better understanding on what to do when we want to remove an officer from office than the NASA principles. You see, the NASA principles are saying that he should drop that petition, but they have been holding meetings in Kibera calling for the removal of IEBC CEO Ezra Chiroba. To me, what the NASA principles are portraying is a real characteristics of people who have sabotaged the economic interest gains for this country for political reasons for very many years. Because you cannot say, I think as much as I do not agree with what Wambugu is saying, but I allowed him. Because if you do not want a particular officer, the only way that a particular office of government can vacate office is through a legal process. So we will wait to see if he has evidence, he will adduce it before the JSC. If the evidence will not be watertight, the case will be thrown out. So I think we need to borrow a leaf from Wambugu. That if
so you agree with him that he's doing the right thing at the right time, and that's how it should go?
I agree with him.
Even politically, he's doing the right thing at this time?
It's not right because we need to see anything that happens now, because we are nearing to the repeat of presidential elections, is politicized. NASA will want to pick anything that Jubilee does to run away with it to gain political mileage, and even Jubilee itself will also want to pick up that NASA does to run away from to gain political mileage. So the timing is completely wrong. But he is not the first person to have a petition against Judge Maraga. You remember the petition of the former LSK, lawyer, I think it was the LSK or whatever, when he brought a petition that, that watered down the integrity of Maraga when he acquitted some cases who were principal suspects in the murder of a former Mdabugoi member of parliament.
But the judge was not found to have committed any illegality in that particular issue. No,
it only came up...
Just for clarity.
Yes, for clarity. Yes. But it came up during the interview, when he was being interviewed, and I think to divert the attention of the interviewers on the question, he took a Bible and he swore that I have never taken a bribe. So the matter was not taking a bribe, but it was about why did you acquit the people who are coming from your community.
Okay, let's go back to this particular petition, Professor George Ojakoya. Of course, Jubilee has already come out. The president was very categorical that yes, he will deal with the judiciary once he is re-elected. If he gets re-elected, he will handle, let me use his word, he will handle the judiciary. We've already seen instances in this new parliament where even members of parliament are already thinking of how they will introduce new pieces of legislation to ensure that the Supreme Court's powers are reduced. Are we sure, are we certain that even what Ngunjiri wa Mbugu is doing is simply his own personal push? Don't you see that it could be a part of a wider plan by the entire probably Jubilee or other forces to actually begin this assault against the judiciary?
Thank you very much, and I thank my friend Dr. Kabare Karanja. Thank you for your response. I agreed with it. I also thank the Member of Parliament for Kimilili for what he has articulated. But before I go into that, I would like to point out very clearly that this is the first time in Africa that we have got a team of nugget-head MPs. Nugget-head MPs. Many of them do not know what is going on. Many of them are very much of impulsive. Many of them are driving the agenda of impunity. Some of them have got cases that are pending in court. Some of them have got questionable characters, and that's why they are rushing out to do things that are very illusionary. And when it comes to Honorable Ngunjiri from Nyeri Town, one thing that I don't understand is he working for the extreme right wing of Jubilee, or is he working for the extreme left wing of NASA? It could be either way. This young man probably is trying to project the agenda of the unknown. He could be projecting the agenda of Jubilee enemies within Jubilee or NASA sympathizers within NASA. There is that possibility. Because as a member of parliament, you ought to know your role. Some of them are being indicted. You look at them, you just feel very pathetic. You look at their background and their history, you find out what kind of kingdom they came from. Maybe you're going to have an animal kingdom in parliament this time. Now, having said that, Ngunjiri ought to have known that the 21 days that were given for the ruling to be made public, I think, have they elapsed already?
Not yet.
He ought to have waited to read what the verdict is, rather than coming in with what we call the witherspoon in his mouth, going up to project the impossibility. And in fact, that thing will not go through, it will be thrown out. And one of the things that we are saying is the president himself, Uhuru Kenyatta, has been on record saying and telling the nation, being a custodian of liberty in this particular country, telling the nation that we shall deal with them, causing fear in the judiciary. He has not learned from what happens or what has been happening in Pakistan, where there was a time when the courts or the Supreme Court of Pakistan and the judges were excluded from the system by this kind of rhetoric statements. They are very bad. Because you remember that this is not the first time the politicians have been fighting the judiciary. First, it was the NASA principles. When it came to the issue of if IBC will not be relegated by Omar Hassan, was it Omar Hassan? Isaac Hassan. Any decision made, if they make it in the negative, we shall go on the street. They were on the street at that particular time. Similarly, on the issue of Maraga, Ruto and the president, and Murkomen in particular, plus Duale, were heard somewhere in the Rift Valley saying that if they don't do as we want, before even this issue, before the election came in, we shall show them what it is. And I even cautioned Murkomen that if he was in the UK or the US, he should have been disbarred for putting the law society into disrepute. So if you find a president of a country who is supposed to be the custodian of liberty, who is supposed to be the symbol of emblem and unity, coming up to subject one of his legislative, or let me say arms of the government, to ridicule, that means you are opening up the gap. And people like Mujiri coming up, they might be saying, okay, let us come up now, because the president has said, you are setting a bad precedent, and this country is bigger than you.
Yes. In a short while, we'll be sampling more views with regard, more reactions rather, with regard to this particular petition for the removal of the Chief Justice. From Mombasa specifically, our reporter Asha Bekidusa is on standby with that. But before we go there, Bwana Ken Ambani, this is a Jubilee Party MP. Yes, the Jubilee Party leader has already come out and said he will handle this. Of course, looking at face value, we're just saying, yes, it's a Jubilee push. But as Jojo Jakoya says, there could be more than meets the eye. That yes, it could be even the other side, you don't know. Do you see such an intrigue?
Thank you. I would like to very much associate with Professor Wajakoya. And to give it a punch, I would like to quote Winston Churchill when he says, truth is incontrovertible. Ignorance can deride it. Panic may resent it. Malice may resent it. But there it is. In short, we are saying it is now appearing that the executive and the legislative arm of government is conniving to punch the judiciary. One, as he has said, the president has been heard severally hitting back at Maraga. He should be the uniting father of this country. And when a father reprimands children before others, what do they feel? Does it now explain why the judiciary didn't even appear in Parliament for the opening of Parliament? That is one of the questions that we should be asking. Number two, as if that is not enough, Ngojiri goes to petition for the removal of the Chief Justice at the JSC. Is it a calculated move to ease off pressure from the IBC issue? So for me, I think it was a strategic approach towards easing pressure from the IBC matter, because this is the storm in the eye. Because right now the country is preoccupied whether are we going to have the fresh elections or are we not going to have. There are basic things that IBC should put in place before it can even exert and assert itself whether it is going to conduct a free, fair and credible election, that they can stand and say that indeed we executed our mandate. Therefore, when you prosecute this matter of Ngujiri, it's deeper than we think. Because at what time did he go out researching about this issue?
And someone should have known about it.
And somebody should have known about it.
Either way, I don't think it's something you can just do in secret and just show up before the JSC and present a petition. Someone in government or someone even within the Jubilee Party must have known.
Yes, and therefore for them to try and come out, and for me, from my political analytical point of view, I see it may be a similar move that Jubilee at one time tried to pull on Munya to put him in his place, because they realized that they had really hurt the Meru economy. And Munya rushes to Somali to try and negotiate for his Meru people on the Miraa trade. And he was really lampooned by the Jubilee side and told, oh, you must toe the line. Shortly, the president visited Somalia a week later and they lifted the ban. I think this is what is happening. So history is repeating itself.
So we shouldn't just look at it on face value.
It's not on face value.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow, the intrigues are even more interesting if you think about it. What Professor George Ojakoya is even suggesting is even more interesting, that he could be speaking for either side. We'll continue looking at this. Plus, what does it mean to remove a Chief Justice from office? What are the requirements? What is the procedure? And what are the grounds of removing a CJ from office? We'll be looking at that in a short while. For now, let's head out to Mombasa. Asha Bikidusa is on standby, ready to sample some of the reactions to this petition seeking the removal of the Chief Justice from office. Good morning to you, Asha. What is the feeling about this petition from Mombasa?
Very good morning to here. It's a sunny morning here in Mombasa. Right now I'm at Ronald Ngala Road, and I will be joining some residents of Mombasa concerning the petition which the MP Ngujiri Mbugu has filed against the removal of the CJ. And I'm joined by some of the residents who will be giving us their reaction. Tuambie majina yako na maoni yako ni yapi kuhusiana na hatua ya mbunge Ngunjiri kutaka kuondolewa kwa jaji mkuu David Maraga. Angalia kamera.
Mimi nasema, naitwa Said Islam. Mimi maoni yangu nasema kuwa si haki kabisa mbunge kumshtaki Maraga, kwa sababu Maraga yeye anafanya kazi ya kweli, haki na kazi. Yuko sawa kama jaji mkuu.
Na asante sana. Itakuwa tunajiunga na mkazi mwingine, na tuambie majina yako na hatua yako ya kutaka mbunge Ngujiri kutaka kumuondoa David Maraga.
Bismillah. Mambo ya jaji kuambia kuondoa, sisi hatuko na Kenya, hatuna na imani. Jaji akae pale pale, nafanya kile haki kabisa. Na sisi kama na Kenya tumeweka pale, hakuna mtu binafsi ameweka pale, yeye amefanya kile.
Some of the reactions there. We do apologize for that interruption in the signal from Mombasa. We will be heading back to Mombasa for more reactions. We have one more reaction. The Deputy President was yesterday in Vihiga and also took time to comment on this issue. Not necessarily the petition, but at least he made a comment with regard to the judiciary and the Supreme Court in specific. Let's listen to what he has said.
Yule atakayeamua kiongozi kutoka MCA mpaka rais ni mwananchi wa Kenya. Hata kama hana viatu, yeye ndiye ataamua nani rais. Haiwezi kuamuliwa mahali pengine popote. Ama nyinyi mnataka kuamuliwa viongozi wenu? Kuna watu wachache wanaketi kotini, ati wanasema kule kotini ndio wataamua nani kiongozi. Ati kura ya mwananchi haina maana mpaka idhibitishwe na hakimu. That is unacceptable to us. Demokrasia vile tunajua ni kwamba wananchi wataamua. Si namna hiyo? Hata kama hana viatu, hata kama anatembea na patipati, hata kama hana nini, lakini kura yake ndio itaamua uongozi wa Kenya. Hapana watu wameketi chini Nairobi kwa sijui manyumba kubwa kubwa na kuongea Kiingereza mingi ati ndio wataamua viongozi wa Kenya.
The Deputy President William Ruto speaking yesterday in Vihiga with regard to the judiciary and specifically the Supreme Court and its connection to the repeat presidential elections. But Dr. Kabari Karanja, even though MP Ngunjiri Mbugu may be filing this petition as a private citizen, he still appears to play to the Jubilee script. The Deputy President still attacking the judiciary as late as yesterday after the petition had been filed. If at all this was not a Jubilee plan, probably the Deputy President would have said something during that forum, but he chose to repeat the same attacks against the judiciary. It looks more and more like a Jubilee plan, don't you think?
Well, Fred, firstly, when Ngujiri presented himself to the court, I was shocked that he was alone. I would have expected to see a battery of
curiously alone.
Yeah, curiously alone. The immediate reactions did not. I didn't find a lot of reactions supporting the move from the mainstream politicians in the Jubilee. Remember, he is also a first-time MP. I'm also looking at his background. But the fundamental question I'm asking is, number one, the DP is talking to a constituency that he has to sustain, and he has to keep the fire burning as an MP. I was glad the other day to hear the president saying hasila imeisha sasa and so forth, which was encouraging. But remember, he has his constituency, and politics, being what politics is in Kenya, the DP is doing his thing. Back to Ngunjiri, again, the fact that he was alone tells quite a bit. The other fundamental question
do you see it face value that simply because he was alone there, it means he is really alone indeed?
Very well. It could be a strategic move. The question is, what is to be gained from this move? Number one, the judgment by the Supreme Court is not out yet. I would have expected him to benefit, especially from the judgments of the two dissenting judges, from where he would get the meat for his petition. I'm wondering, within the next 30 or so days to elections, what political capital is to be gained from this exercise?
Yes.
Or did he make a miscalculated move to try and hoping that his bidding or rather building the president's whatever support? What is to be gained?
Yes.
That's the fundamental.
And that's a big question because 31 and a half days to the elections. Who stands to gain the most from this petition? Who stands to lose is also a very good question because yes, it is only this week that the president had hosted a delegation from Kisii, and he really tried to explain to them his frustrations with the court and explain to them that he had no problem with the community, only the individuals within the Supreme Court and that particular ruling. Now, a day or two later, you see this person, and the upheaval in Kisii land is revived. We do have reports that there were protests in Kisii and Nyamira counties yesterday, immediately after that petition was filed. But it appears, yes, even Jubilee stands to lose from this petition. Do you think Ngunjiri Wambugu thought about that before he filed it? Because what he stands to gain, as Dr. Kabare said, between now and election day cannot really be quantified. Yes, but what he stands to lose, what the president stands to lose between now and election day can actually be seen.
I think there are also good lessons to learn from Ngunjiri's petition, owing to the fact that there are so many Kenyans, so many poor Kenyans who have lost properties because of the incompetency of the officers of the court, because of corruption. I think we have too much independence in the judiciary, and the fact that we've had investigations before and some judges failing to go past the vetting processes, others being dismissed in various purges. This also shows that the judiciary is not insulated in corruption and manipulation from some cartels that operate within this country. And what we need to do is that we need to have clear laws. For example, I don't see logic why a particular judge would acquit a person or convict a person, then when that same person goes to the Court of Appeal, the decision of the lower court is overturned. And I mean, we need to have some kind of a threshold.
Is it not what should be expected that yes, if at all a decision doesn't go your way in a lower court, you have the right to appeal?
I agree, but we have to look at the threshold. If the blunder is completely too much, then that judge needs to be disciplined. I mean, you look at, you need to investigate further as why this decision to convict or to acquit when the evidence is completely clear.
But politically, the next 30 days are crucial for both Jubilee and NASA. If at all we still get to go for the fresh presidential polls on the 17th of October, then the next 30 days are very crucial for both sides. Politically, this filing of this petition at this time, yes, even if, and just looking at the procedure of removing a CJ from office, this is not anything that can happen within a month. So it cannot be said that the dividend to be gained from this is that probably if the Supreme Court is called upon to adjudge on this fresh poll that CJ Maraga will have been removed by then, chances are he will still be the CJ. Yes, but politically, appearing to fight the judiciary at this time, appearing to go against CJ Maraga, which has already caused problem for the Jubilee Party in the next 30 days. My question is, don't you think the Jubilee Party runs the risk of actually losing some of its votes, especially from that particular region that is not so happy with the kind of statements made against CJ Maraga?
It is not that because the president has, the party has come out clearly saying that this is Wanjiri's private petition. The party has distanced itself from his moves. But the only thing that could happen is that it could spur some ethnic animosities owing to the fact that presidential repeat election is coming on 17th. And even prosecuting the IEBC officers now, I think it will bring a very bad scenario in this country. So we have no time. The timing is completely bad, and I will be speaking with him when I'm meeting that in the interest of Kenyans, just have to withdraw that petition from the court. Professor Adekoya, is there any possibility or even necessity for the president and his deputy to actually distance themselves from this particular petition at this time, given that the next 30 days are really crucial, if at all they're going back to the ballot?
First of all, whether they distance themselves or not, Jubilee is already dented and tended with this Maraga issue. Trust me, call a spade. Whoever planned it and put it on table, whether the MP planned alone or with other cohorts, it has already sent very wrong signals to Jubilee. Jubilee was doing very well. It actually didn't want to go through this. It didn't have even to worry about this.
It was totally unnecessary.
It was really unnecessary because they had the numbers. They were very organized. They planned. Whatever happened in court happened. But for this to come out right now, trust me, this decision itself by this MP has actually rallied other tribes against Jubilee, against the two tribes.
Yes.
And this is going to be very true. As my MP, as the new MP is saying what he's saying, which I don't agree with. But let me put it to him that this is going to be mayhem for Jubilee.
Politically.
Politically.
Yes.
Because people are now looking at it as like, what is going on? The MP has filed a petition. The deputy president is talking about it. You cannot rubbish judges. I'm a lawyer. You can't rubbish me down like that. You cannot just come up and say, oh, those people who sit in that house. Kwani, what's wrong with you? Next day they bring you with your corruption issues. They will bring you before these guys and they send your ass to jail. Sorry about my language. So let us be consensus. Let's actually follow the theme of reality with the new constitution. What we are trying, the statements of arrogancy that you are seeing right now are actually depicting Moi's era. That means Moi's bag is really inexistent right now. It is coming out very clearly and we don't want to go that direction. And trust me, Kenyans are going to react more to this if it goes on like the way it is than what you can see. After all, it's going before the Judicial Service Commission. Most of them are lawyers and they're not dunderheads. They're going to look into issues. Ngujiri himself has come up and he said that in the last 4 years, the NGOs have been seen to be conversant with the issue. How did he get that information? Can the director of NSIS shed light on this? But I will come to that later on.
And of course, NIS, I'm sure when such a petition is about to be filed before the JSC, I'm sure some of this information could get even to the party leaders, even to the president and his deputy, because there is intelligence, security intelligence. I'm sure they must be getting some of this briefing.
That's why that's why I'm advocating that with my friend being here, and I think I will have to have a cup of tea with him later on. We need accountability of information and intelligence from this parliament. We need a select committee to sit down and look at what NSIS does and also to see whether they can summon the director of intelligence to be accountable for this kind of information.
Okay. I think you mentioned me on something that he was putting down.
Okay. When I said you being a member of parliament.
Before, when you were making your initial comments about Wanjiri's petition, where you said that it's going to rally Kenyans against the two tribes.
Yes. What I said. Yeah, can I repeat it again?
No, I want to tell you a few things. I think that is not right. Because we need to, at your level, we need to analyze situations based on facts, the way they are. Because we have had even NASA calling for the removal of Chiroba. So are Kenyans going to be against that?
Let me tell you, young man.
We should not transfer.
Gentlemen, I beg that we don't degrade the conversation to ethnic background.
Yeah, what I was trying to clarify is this.
Yeah.
And I will stand to be jailed on this one. I was saying that other people are looking at it because he himself said that it will. You are actually eating your own words when you talked about the Kisses not voting, didn't you?
No,
a few minutes ago.
I talked about bringing in animosities in terms of when you jail.
Gentlemen, I actually requested that we take this conversation forward without really degrading into the tribal back and forth because it wouldn't really benefit any one of us. Bonakena Mbani, if at all Ngunjiri Wambugu was alone in this and actually filed a petition without the knowledge of his party and his party leadership, then we look at it and we see the possible repercussions it may have on the party politically and on President Uhuru Kenyatta's re-election. What is the best way forward? Should he simply go back and retrieve this petition? Do you think it is necessary? Do you think he should just stand his ground and continue persecuting this particular line of script, if I may call it that?
From my point of view and the angle that I would take on this, I would say that what Ngujiri was trying to do is try and push Maraga to the wall to actually say, now you have done this, you can also be checked. But as they say, he who comes to the table of equity must come with clean hands. And politics being the perception. Now you see what is fixing Ngujiri is the perception. Politics being the animal that it is. Already the jury is out there. And you can see it is not placing Ngujiri in good stead. One, most of the people who are anti-Jubilee are looking at Ngujiri as an attack hound. Number two, in as much as his Jubilee party may want to move or to drift away from from the petition, they are only worsening the situation because they are speaking from both sides of the mouth. If they were to help him pull out of that, they should have a sustained discussion or narrative moving forward. However, you can see as soon as that was going on, you are seeing the Vice President of the Republic of Kenya campaigning on the same platform, addressing the people in Vihiga in a coercive manner, in a very condescending manner. You see, you know, sometimes they say the way you perceive a person, you can look at him from the body language. You can look through his choice of words. As a communicator, one would want to look in between the lines and pass, and you're seeing him telling these fellows, yes, ni yule mutu wa patipati nini. Already you know these are fellows who are feeling suppressed. At independence, Vihiga was at about 60 to 70% in terms of the poverty. In terms of actually they were at 40%. And you can see now poverty has increased there. They are taking their money, and we are saying it is a campaign period.
Yes.
Why can't you just go ask for votes without using the state legis to influence the people? And these are some of the things that people may want to look through, and they'll make their decisions based on that. So I'm saying, in a nutshell, that the damage is done, the jury is out there.
So you don't see the necessity of Ngujiri Wambugu going back on this petition, that he should continue prosecuting it?
If I may give it a page in Kiswahili, ukianza, be ready to maliza.
Endelea. Okay, so let's now take a break. We'll be back to continue this discussion, or also look at what is provided